All right, guys. Welcome. Just doing a quick audio check here. Make sure everything's good. I know it's a little bit early. Just want to make sure I remembered how to hook everything up. So, come on. Are you going to start? I might have to do this real quick. Turn my Wi-Fi off on my phone. Now let's see if that will go. Just want to make sure I remembered how to hook everything up. Okay, we got audio. We're good. So, welcome, everybody. Welcome to Wapiti Wednesday Live Q&A. So, Mike Strong, I made it for a live session. Welcome, buddy. So, I know it's been a little while. I had received a couple of messages from you guys saying it had been a while. I was kind of focused on doing some hunts, and then of course holidays, and it just kind of October, November, and I guess October we did. So it's basically, because we were supposed to do the last of October, but I went on that rifle elk hunt, and then on into November. So it was kind of crazy. So Mike, got you, Lima Charlie on this end. Roger that. Thank you. So, all right. So let's jump into this. Kind of excited. So if you're new, you've got a couple of options here. If you're watching on the computer, if you click on the video, it'll open up in a YouTube screen. You do have a chat session on the right where you can actually comment or ask questions, anything like that, so you can participate. If you're on your phone or a tablet, no problem. Just down underneath the video in the middle, you'll see a balloon. Click on that. It'll take you into another screen, and then from there you can go ahead and type your comment in, and then as soon as you post it, just hit the back button, and that'll bring you back over into the video. So, all right. So, here recently, I've done something that I haven't done in a while, and that's actually watch elk hunting videos on YouTube. I've kind of decided, kind of getting back to some of the things I used to do, which, was constantly watching videos and paying attention and really studying elk and that kind of stuff. And in the last couple of years, I've kind of, gone away from that a little bit. But here recently have gotten back into that. And one of the things that I noticed, and when I was thinking about tonight's topic and episode, I was actually going to include some of these video clips so that way you could see them real time. And I decided not to, because I don't want to put the spotlight on any of these people. I have the utmost respect for these content creators that are putting these videos out. And so I didn't want to have it look like I was bashing on them or saying they did this wrong or saying, this or that. And so I figured tonight we're just going to kind of talk about some of their setups, some of what, responses, and I'm just going to do the bull vocalizations on the tube. When I talk about the sound, I'll talk about the vocalizations, and I'll demonstrate them so that way you can hear it. So the first situation that I'm going to talk about is they got a bull going, and they were on this little ridge, and it went down and then up, and then there was another ridge, and they had a bull bugling over there, and they kind of set up. And Mr. Jim, how are you doing? Thanks for tuning in, bud. But they just kind of sat there and worked this bull, and this bull got really vocal. And they were basically talking about, oh man, this dude's getting fired up. He's going to come any moment, and they stayed right there. And so first off, on the setup, you need to understand that they're here. There's a draw, and then the bull is over on this other side. Now, remember, we've talked about it. Yes, they were on the same elevation as the bull. The only problem is the bull would have to go down and then come back up, and he's at a disadvantage. Right there, he's not going to come. Very, very rarely will a bull do that. So, I mean, you get the bull in the right mindset, it's going to happen. But if you were to reposition, now obviously, you don't want to drop down and come up either, because with him being elevated, he's going to be able to see you from the bottom. So what you almost need to do, you need to back out and circle all the way around. So go silent, back out, circle all the way around, and get over on his ridge, and then drop off the top down on his elevation. Because this was in the afternoon, evening time, so thermal should have been blowing up, so you would have been okay to do that. Now, the thing is they were calling, and the bull did start getting more vocal, and at first he was just he was just giving location bugles. But as they sat there and worked, and they were doing a few cow sounds and bugles mixed in, but after a little while, that bull he started hitting them back with that lip ball bugle, that display. Now remember, that lip ball bugle has two meanings. It's telling cows, come to me, I'm a dominant bull. But it's also telling other bulls, stay away, I'm a dominant bull. And that's what happened in this one, is that bull was responding to their bugles and was basically telling that other bull, stay away. I don't want you over here, stay away. And the fact that they stayed right where they were doing exactly what that bull was asking them to do. That bull was asking them to stay over there. They did exactly what that bull wanted to do, that asked them to do. Why is he going to come? I mean, if he's telling you stay away and you're staying back, and we're all guilty of this. We've all done it. I've done it too. So that's why I said the best thing to do on that is close that distance. Put that pressure on him. Back out, circle around. Because how many times have you guys been working a bull in that situation and he's gone quiet, and you're thinking, man, what happened? Lost him. He just disappeared on us. Only to have him pop up right over here and screaming at you. And at first we're thinking, man, this is another bull. He snuck in. But a lot of times it's that other bull. He circled around. He's not going to drop down and come up, but he's going to circle around on that elevation where he can keep things level. So why don't you take that same mentality? Why don't you take that same approach? Hit him with that same medicine. Because I can guarantee what happens. He's been sitting there telling you, stay away. You go quiet, circle around, then engage him, close that distance tight. Remember, we've talked before where a bull just hits you with a bugle that's so intense that it just knocks your hat off. That happens a lot of times in this situation. Now, the other option that you have in this is once you have that bull located and you know where he's at, you have him pinpointed. Don't stay there across the draw. Don't try to coax him over. Circle around, move over, set up, then engage. Then start calling to him. Your chances at that point to call him in are much, much higher. So that's the first scenario I wanted to talk about. Second one, it was it was towards the beginning of the season, and this is a different group, but they got into an area and they just started doing some light cow calling. They did that about 2 or 3 times, and I think it was at the 3rd or 4th time. They just got a response like that. And it was interesting because they responded with a bugle back. And they got no response. But then they proceeded to stay right there and bugle. And I think they stayed there for like 30 minutes. And now obviously they didn't have the video going for that full 30 minutes, but they were given updates of, hey, we're sitting here, we're trying to get this bull to fire off again, and he just fired off that one time. But I think what's interesting on this is they didn't stop to think that bull responded to cow sounds, and he hasn't responded at all to a bugle. And they never tried cow sounds again. And I was sitting there watching this going, and now mind you, when you're in the moment sometimes, the excitement messes with the thinking and the mind, and we don't always think the clearest in situations. But deciphering that right there and pausing and going, okay, why is he not responding? And a lot of times just taking that pause and go, oh man, he tried the cow sounds. Now, me personally, what I do in that situation, there's nothing wrong with them doing the location bugle to see if he would respond to a bull sound. They already got the information. He responded to the cow sound. Let's see if he'll respond to a bugle. Let's see what we're dealing with. Let's see what his mindset is. But if you do that bugle and you don't get a response, don't sit there and continue to do the bugles. Now, a lot of times in that situation, when you get a timid response like that, you have to be very, very careful of what bull sound you introduce, because again, you don't know what you're dealing with. There is a chance that it could be a younger age class bull, and in any semi-mature bull sound that you do could intimidate him. So that's where a little huffs, grunts, and whines like that is okay, because it's non-threatening, it's non-intimidating, it is a little timid. So you answered his timid bugle with a timid response back. Because usually these bulls, especially the smaller or younger age class bulls, they're used to it that if they've spent time around a dominant herd bull, if they start popping off, that herd bull is just going to shut them down. But in this case, we responded to timid with timid. It's matching what we got. Now, if I do that huffs, grunts, and whines and I don't have a response, I'm immediately heading right back into those cow sounds. Okay, let's see, we got another comment popped in. Hold on here. Mr. Jim. Okay, yeah. When you're hunting and you hear a bull respond, most times you lose your mind. All you hear is a bull. Too excited to make out. What are you saying? Need to listen to elk sounds or watch videos to get really familiar how they sound because it happens fast sometimes. Jim, you're exactly right. And that's one of the reasons why YouTube is a great thing. There's a lot of groups that puts out some really good quality content. And it's great because it gives you a chance to sit there and listen to the bulls, listen to their responses. And it's nice because you can sit there and go, okay, they're cow calling. They're doing cow vocalizations. Oh, they got a bull to respond. And then you immediately start running through your head. And if you need to, grab a notebook. Write notes while you're watching this stuff. But you can watch these responses. You can watch these interactions. You can listen to how the bull's responding to what they're doing. And the more you listen to that, the more you tune your brain. So, because, before YouTube and before the videos and all that, we only had our time during September. We only had our time out in the woods. But now, because of YouTube and this and that, we can be listening to this stuff all year round. We can be training our brains. We can be, it's almost like you spend 11 months of the year preparing for the 1 month. So it's 11 months of practice for 1 month of the game. It's no different than an athlete preparing to play games. It's no different than Olympic athletes preparing for the Olympics. We're doing the same thing. We're preparing ourselves physically, mentally, shooting, calling, but studying also. Those videos helps us in those situations so that when things do happen fast, you're still going to lose your mind when things happen fast. You're still going to make mistakes. We still make mistakes. It happens. Especially early in the season. So, but you reduce the number of that happening by training your brain and listening. And I've kind of enjoyed it the last couple of weeks of getting back in and watching these videos, and I've kind of missed it. In fact, there's been a couple of days where I've sat there and just watched 3 videos, in a row. And, Liz has sat there and she's watched a few of them with me too. And we've kind of talked about, the situation and what's going on and the interaction and how we'd do things differently. So yeah, by all means, watch as many videos as you can. So, okay. The next situation, again, it was early in the season. Good cover, good elk sign. Again, doing cow sounds. They had just got to this place they wanted to call from. They did that, and they got a bull. They got a bull that gave them that response. They continued to stay right there and continued to do cow sounds. They didn't introduce a bull. They continued to do cow sounds. The bull proceeded to give them that response 3 or 4 more times. And they stayed right there. After a little bit of time, the bull So I don't know if you picked up on the difference between that one that he did versus the first one that he did. This last one that he did had a lot more emotion into it. They started laughing and going, oh man, this dude is getting excited. He is going to be coming any moment. They misinterpret it. What that bull did that last time was frustration. Reason being, because that bugle is called a roundup bugle. And basically what that bull is saying is, come to me. Come over here. He's acknowledged you. He understands you're a cow. And he's asking you to come to him. Now, with them staying right there and him hitting with that same roundup bugle another 3-4 times, and the fact that they stayed right there, the last time that bull did that with the more emotion, he's frustrated because he has asked that group of cows to come to him 4 or 5 times. Now remember, they haven't bugled, they haven't introduced a bull at all. So that bull is over there basically being frustrated because he's like, I've acknowledged you, I've asked you to come to me. You're staying right there. You don't have a bull with you. Why are you not coming to me? And that's what that more emotion roundup bugle was that more emotion saying now. They didn't go to him, they stayed right there. And they never heard from that bull again. Now, what you can do in that instance is if you cow call, you cow vocalizations, and you get that roundup bugle, check your wind, make sure your wind's good. As long as you have cover, move towards him. Now, sometimes it's going to happen where you can't move. That happened. This situation happened to me 4 or 5 years ago. Right off the get-go in the morning, first light, went in through the doorway, and once you get through the doorway, the trail splits. And I was going to take the trail to the right, hop up over this little knob, pop up the next ridge, and drop down into this flat-bottomed, dark drainage that we used to get into a lot of bulls. But as soon as I got to that intersection and turned to right, I could see 2 cows feeding on that soft little ridge. And so I did a couple of cow calls, and to the left of the cows, but back behind the trees, I immediately got a bull that hit me with that roundup bugle. I knew I was so close to him, I couldn't move. I mean, those cows were 80 yards from me. And coming up that trail was open, and where he was, he had elevated. He could have seen, looked down, he would have seen me coming, and gig would have been up. So I couldn't move. I stayed right there. I introduced huffs, grunts, and whines and the cow sounds, and I went into kind of a modified soft breeding sequence, which in turn, that bull rolled off that soft ridge around the point of the trees and came right down, right straight across from me at 25 yards. But if I had enough cover, I would have slipped up towards him and done some cow sounds. Now, it depends how far apart you are. I mean, if he's, sounding like he's 125, 150, 200 yards, yeah, I'm going to move towards him. But I'm going to move slowly because I want to really scan what's ahead of me while I'm moving. Because I don't know if he has cows with him. I don't know if he's on the backside of the cows, if he has cows between me and him. Or I don't know if he's coming towards me. I mean, these are all things that could be happening. So, if you can shorten the distance, if you can go towards him, go towards him. Because what that's doing is that's acknowledging that you're moving towards him. And I'm going to move up a little ways, and I'm going to do some more cow sounds. And it's basically, it's one, letting him know that I'm working towards him, but two, also, it's, hey, I'm just double checking that you're still there. And what you'll find a lot of times in this situation, when you're doing that, as you get closer, his excitement level is going to go through the roof. And as his excitement level rises, his ability to wait for you to come to him is going to shorten, and he's going to want to go to you. Because you've already given the commitment, you've already shown him, hey, I'm coming to you, I understand what you're asking me to do, I'm doing it. But as his excitement level rises, so does his impatient level. And it's like, you're not coming fast enough. Okay, I'm just going to come to you. Okay. Nope, we're good. No comments. Okay, so those were the three kind of scenarios that I wanted to talk about tonight, just because there's scenarios that you're going to find yourself in quite often when you're hunting elk. And recognizing those and understanding. And this is where, if you guys kind of go on a computer, go here on the Patreon page and go to the instructional videos and go to bull sounds and just kind of watch that a few times and get the names and get the sounds of the bull sounds in your mind, and then go watch videos. You're going to recognize, you're going to start to recognize a lot easier the responses that bulls are given. Once you're recognizing the responses that you're given, then you can make your game plan on how you're going to respond, what your action is going to be. So, okay. All right. So before I go into tonight's calling portion, because I don't want Larry busting my chops about not covering any sounds or calling techniques. If you guys have any questions or comments about any of these setups or situations we've talked tonight, or you've got a clarifying question or want me to dive deeper into something or don't understand something I talked about, throw them in the comments section. So, okay. So tonight I'm going to touch on that lip ball. You'll hear it called a lip ball, a display, a dominance, and basically you're still doing the same thing with the reed. You're still doing a bugle. The only difference is you're puttering your lips. Now you want your pressure on your lips to be just right. If you pierce them too tight, it doesn't sound natural. Now when you're first learning how to putter, you're going to have to press your lips pretty tight together. Now the other key with this is you're really going to take a lot of pressure on your diaphragm because you really want to press a lot of air out. So when you're first learning, you're probably going to have to pierce pretty tight, but as you get that consistency, then start relax your lips a little bit. Let that putter kind of slow down. So really tight. As you soften that up. You can hear how it kind of rolls just a little bit more. So that's your calling technique for tonight, is puttering the lips on the lip ball. Now also when you're learning this, it's better if you separate the two parts. Meaning you separate the bugle part, no reed in your mouth, and just practice puttering your lips. Get that putter portion down. You already have the bugle part. Most of you guys already know how to bugle. Now you're teaching your brain how to putter. Then once you've taught it how to putter and you have that muscle memory, then when you bring the two together, your mind understands, okay, these are two things that I already know how to do. We're just combining them together, not a big deal. And it may be when you're first learning this that you have to putter the same time you start the sound. Then as you progress, then you can go clean note into the putter. Then your next progression is clean note, putter, clean note. Now, one trick when you introduce your tube to it, you want to make sure that you have distance between the bottom of the tube and your lips. So that way you can putter, because a lot of times especially if you have a smaller tube and you put this on your lips, it'll kill that putter. All right, guys, there's your calling tip for tonight. Let's see if we have no comments. So all right, must have covered it good. Okay, so we will be back in 2 weeks. Wednesday the 22nd for our next one. Now, I want this next one, because this is pretty much the last one of the year, I want this one to be for you guys and all about you guys. So what I want you to do is in the comment sections below, I want you guys to put your questions in the comment section below, because in 2 weeks when we come back, all I'm going to do is answer your guys' questions. I'm either going to answer the questions you guys put in the comments down below between now and then, or I'm going to answer your questions live as they're rolling in. All right, guys, let me check one more time real quick. Oh, yep, did have one pop in. All right, here we go. Sandy Spencer. Had a bull light off around noon. Fairly intense call twice. I wasn't calling when he started. At that point, I tried to locate and soft cow calls. He shut up. Should I have backed off and waited until evening? Not necessarily, Sandy, because what he was doing at that midday is he got up from his bed and he could have been calling to his cows. So what I would have done on that is I would have started with the cow sounds, and I would have worked into the breeding sequence, but I would have focused, and of course it depends on how far away I am from them. If I'm within 100, 125 yards, then I'll just stay there and set up. Usually during midday, I'm farther away than that from their bedding area, so I would slip in and start with the cow sounds and work that breeding sequence up. Get him going, then start introducing, the bull sounds into that breeding sequence with those huffs, grunts, and whines. Now, if I'm doing that and he's not interacting, then yeah, I'm going to go quiet, I'm going to back out, and I'm going to wait for evening time. It all depends on how he's kind of responding. And I think what happened is he got up out of his bed and his cows got up and he was kind of bugling at his cows, because probably he was still bedded. His cows got up and started milling around, and he was screaming at his cows to, sit your butt back down, basically. And what could have happened is when you introduced the bull, if you were in close enough proximity, he's like, I don't want competition right now, and just take his cows and slip right out that back door. Okay. So, like I said, put your question in comments or put your questions in the comment section down below. And in 2 weeks when we come back, it's going to be viewer questions, herd member questions. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. As always, keep calling, keep practicing. Most importantly, though, have fun. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks on the 22nd for the last Wapiti Live Q&A for 2021. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you later.